Welcome back to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed. We cut through the noise, get straight to those fascinating nuggets of knowledge. And today, we're taking a journey right into the heart of Spanish grammar. We're tackling a topic that's, well, it's foundational, super useful, and honestly, sometimes a bit puzzling for learners, grammatical gender in Spanish. If you're learning Spanish, you know exactly what I mean. It's just one of those essential building blocks. And to guide us, we've got this fantastic resource. It's a free PDF from Dulce, from the YouTube channel Español con Dulce. You can actually grab it yourself. The link's in the description. Great for following along or practicing later. Highly recommend it.
That's right. And our mission today really is to move beyond just the basics, beyond just el and la. We want to dig into some of the more advanced ideas, unravel those exceptions, which can be quite fun, actually, and really get the nuances of gender in Spanish. By the end, the idea is you'll feel, hopefully, a lot more confident using it when you speak and write.
Okay, let's start right there then. Grammatical gender. What's the absolute fundamental principle? What do we need to grasp?
Okay, so at its core, it's this. Every single noun in Spanish, person, place, thing, idea, it gets assigned a gender. It's either masculine or feminine, full stop. But here's the really crucial part. It's not just about the noun sitting there by itself. This gender, it sort of acts like a linguistic magnet.
A magnet. How so?
Well, it pulls other words in the sentence along with it.
Yeah.
Words like articles, la, las, and adjectives, they have to agree in gender with that noun if they don't match. Well, the sentence just sounds wrong to a native speaker. It's fundamental.
Oh, okay. So it creates this kind of network of agreement through the sentence. Can you give us maybe a couple of basic examples just to see that ripple effect?
Absolutely. Let's take el libro. Libro, book, it's masculine, so it needs the masculine article el.
Huh?
Or la mesa. Mesa table is feminine, so it takes la.
Right.
And it's not just for singulars, plurals too. Masculine plural, you'd have los perros, the dogs. Feminine plural, las casas, the houses.
Got it.
It's all about that consistency, starting from the noun outwards.
Okay, and for someone just starting out, maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed, is there a simple rule of thumb, like a first guess?
There definitely is a really strong starting point, actually. The most common guideline is that most nouns ending in O, they're going to be masculine. Think el gato, el zapato, el carro, cat, shoe, car.
Okay, O is usually masculine.
Usually. And conversely, most nouns ending in O are feminine. So you'll hear la casa, house, la manzana, apple, la silla, chair. Honestly, these two rules cover a huge percentage of Spanish nouns. They're your best friends when you're starting.
That's a fantastic foundation. Gets you pretty far.
But
language always loves to keep us on our toes, doesn't it? And Spanish, well, it's got its delightful exceptions. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. What about those nouns ending in O that actually break the rule? The feminine ones.
Yes, the exceptions. This is where you start feeling like a proper language detective. A classic example, one that always comes up, is la mano, the hand.
La mano ends in O, but it's la.
Exactly. Despite that O ending, it's definitely feminine. You'd never, ever say el mano. It's a common one, trips up a lot of learners. But once you know it, it's kind of a good reminder that language isn't always neat boxes, which is part of its charm, right?
Definitely. And then there's the flip side, of course. Nouns ending in A that are surprisingly masculine. Can you think of any common ones there that might catch someone out?
Oh, absolutely. There are some really common ones, too, like el día, the day, ends in A, but it's A.
El día, right?
And el mapa, the map, also masculine. And even el planeta, the planet.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, all ending in A, but masculine. These are everyday words, so, memorizing them early on really helps avoid those common mistakes.
Okay, now this next one. This is truly fascinating to me. Words that change their entire meaning just based on the gender. How does that even work?
It's quite ingenious, actually. It shows how gender in Spanish isn't just arbitrary. It's a powerful system for telling meanings apart. Disambiguation.
So it's like a built-in signal.
Exactly, a silent signal. The article el, or la, tells you precisely which concept is being discussed. It's a level of precision that, other languages might need completely different words for.
So it's less about male or female in these cases and more about like a category label that clarifies everything. Give some examples. The source had some good ones.
Yeah, the source material has two perfect examples. First, el capital versus la capital. El capital that refers to money, financial resources, the capital for a new business.
Right, the funds.
But la capital, that's the main city. Like Madrid is la capital of Spain.
Okay, completely different concepts.
Totally different. And then there's el cura versus la cura. El cura is the priest.
Okay.
Whereas la cura is the medical treatment, the cure for an illness.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Just changing el cala flips the entire idea. So for these words, context isn't just helpful, it's everything. You need that article.
Precisely. The article isn't just about grammar here, it's carrying the semantic weight. It tells you the specific meaning. It really shows how deeply gender and meaning can be intertwined in Spanish. It's quite economical in a way.
Okay, moving on. What about nouns that don't change their form at all? They look identical whether they're referring to a male or a female. How do we know the gender then?
Good question. These are often called invariable nouns, and the answer is simple. You rely entirely on the article, el or la. So, for example, estudiante, student. You say el estudiante for a male student,
Okay.
and la estudiante for a female student. The noun estudiante stays exactly the same.
Ah, so the article does all the work.
Exactly. Same with artista. Our artist, el artista for a man, la artista for a woman. The article is the key identifier for the person's sex in these cases. Then you have another group, nouns that do change their ending to match the person's sex. Often these follow that familiar pattern. O for masculine, A for feminine, like Nico, boy, and la chica, girl.
What?
Or profesor, male teacher, and la profesora, female teacher.
Right, doctor, doctora.
Exactly. El doctor, la doctora, those are pretty straightforward. Follow the main rule.
But naturally, there are always a few rebels. Some use completely different endings, right? Adds another layer.
Indeed. You do run into pairs that have distinct endings altogether. They don't just swap O for A. Think of el actor, actor, and la actress.
Oh, actress, yeah.
Or maybe el emperador, emperor, and la emperatriz, empress. They require learning two distinct forms. Not as common as the OA switch, maybe, but definitely part of the landscape. Important to recognize them.
Okay, so we've covered nouns pretty well, but nouns don't usually float alone in sentences. What about adjectives, the words that describe the nouns? How do they fit into this gender picture?
Adjectives are absolutely crucial, just as important as the articles. They also have to agree in gender with the noun they're describing. And the general rule here mirrors the noun rule, mostly. If the noun is masculine, the adjective typically ends in O. For example, el coche rojo, the red car. Coche is masculine, so rojo. And if the noun's feminine, the adjective usually ends in A. Like la casa bonita, the beautiful house. Casa is feminine, so bonita.
So the adjective literally changes its shape to match.
Exactly. It adapts, creates that grammatical harmony we talked about.
Spanish can be complex, but does it ever give us a little break? Are there adjectives that just stay the same? No gender changes?
Yes, thankfully. A little breather for the learner. These are your invariable adjectives. Adjectives that end in E, or most that end in a consonant, often don't change for gender.
Oh, that's handy.
It is. So you'd say el estudiante inteligente for a smart male student.
And la estudiante inteligente for a smart female student.
Exactly. Inteligente stays the same. Or take joven, meaning young. El hombre joven, the young man. La mujer joven, the young woman. Joven doesn't change.
Nice. A bit simpler for those ones.
Now, nationality adjectives, they're an interesting bunch. They kind of follow their own little twists. If a nationality adjective ends in O or A, it just follows the standard rules we discussed. Mexicano, mexicana. Simple enough.
Okay, standard pattern there. But what about the ones that don't end in OA or AA? Do they break the invariable rule we just mentioned?
Ah, good catch. Yes, often they do. This is a specific point for nationalities. If a nationality adjective ends in a consonant, unlike other consonant-ending adjectives, it usually does have separate masculine and feminine forms.
Okay, so that's a specific exception for nationalities. Example.
Sure. Think of Español. That's for masculine. The feminine form is española.
Ah, adds an A.
Right. Or français, French mask, becomes francesa, femme.
Yeah.
English mask becomes inglesa, femme. So even though they end in a consonant in the masculine form, you add that A for the feminine. It's a sub-rule worth noting.
Right. We've handled singulars, exceptions, adjectives. But what about plurals? How does gender work when you have more than one thing?
Fundamentally, the same agreement rules just extend into the plural. It's consistent. If you have masculine plural nouns, your articles and adjectives need to be masculine plural too. So, los perros grandes, big dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Los en grandes are both masculine plural.
Makes sense.
And for feminine plural nouns, same idea. Las casas bonitas, the pretty houses. Las and bonitas are feminine plural. Everything still has to match up.
Okay, but here's a classic point of confusion, I think. What happens when you have a mixed group, say boys and girls together, or male and female teachers?
Yeah, this is a really important practical point. How does the language handle mixed groups? In Spanish, the rule is, if a group contains both masculine and feminine elements, even just one masculine element in a group of females, the default grammatical gender for the plural is masculine.
Always masculine if it's mixed.
Always grammatically masculine, yes. So los niños can mean the boys, or it can mean the boys and girls.
Yep.
Similarly, los profesores could be all male teachers, or it could be a mix of male and female teachers. It's a kind of linguistic simplification for collective groups. Important to remember, even though it sometimes feels odd to learners initially.
And one last specific thing, that pronunciation rule, the one for singular feminine nouns, starting with that stressed A sound, like el agua. My brain just fought that for ages, kept wanting la agua. What's the trick there?
You are definitely not alone in that. It feels counterintuitive at first, but what's really fascinating is why it happens. It's purely for sound, for euphony, making it easier to say. It does not change the noun's gender. Agua is still feminine.
Okay, so it's just about avoiding the clash of vowel sounds.
Exactly. When a singular feminine noun starts with a stressed A or ha sound like an agua or águila, eagle, saying, la agua makes the two A sounds run together awkwardly. La agua.
Right, kind of stumbles.
So Spanish uses el instead. El agua, it just flows better. But notice in the plural, the stress isn't right at the start of the word group anymore, so it goes back to the feminine plural article. Las agua, las águilas.
Okay, that makes sense. It's purely phonetic.
Purely phonetic, a little linguistic shortcut for smoother speech. So wrapping up this deep dive, the main takeaways. First, know those general rules. O, usually masculine, usually feminine, super useful starting point. But always keep those key exceptions handy, like la mano, el día, don't forget them.
Right, exceptions are key.
Second, adjective agreement is vital. They follow the noun. But remember those handy and variable ones ending in E or consonants? They give you a bit of a break.
Except for nationalities ending in consonant.
Exactly. Good point. Nationalities are a special case there. And finally, be aware of those really interesting cases. Nouns changing meaning with gender, like ella capital, and that special phonetic use of el with words like el agua. It's still feminine.
Perfect. And to really nail this down, remember Dulce's original source material, the PDF link below. It actually includes a practice exercise. It's a great way to test yourself and make sure these ideas stick. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the sometimes tricky but always fascinating world of Spanish grammatical gender. We really hope this cleared up some confusion and maybe gave you a new appreciation for how the language fits together. You can find all the source material from Dulce on her YouTube channel, Español con Dulce. And seriously, grab that free PDF from the link in our description. It's a super helpful tool for your learning.
Absolutely. And as you continue with your Spanish, maybe start noticing these things more actively. Listen for gender agreement in conversations. Look for it in texts. Can you spot more exceptions? Maybe even ponder, why do languages have grammatical gender in the first place? There's always more to think about, more to discover. Observing these patterns is really part of the fun.
Couldn't agree more. Keep learning, keep exploring, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.